way.
Let me guess, you're here after my last video, and now you want to see how the war ends. Welp, I came here purely for your entertainment, so without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the First Battle of Bull Run was about to begin. You'd think they would make a strategy before they attacked, but as I said in the last video, these soldiers weren't the brightest bulbs in the box, and they were pretty much the definition of this meme. So the second they got the chance, both the Confederate and the Union armies rained bullets in each other's faces. Although both sides were equally dim-witted, the Union managed to push the Confederates back. It seemed as if the Union won, but then a Confederate general named Thomas Jackson came to the scene with a backup force and completely crushed them. He sent them fleeing back to where they came from, badly injured with fatal losses. Over 480 Union soldiers were killed, 1,000 were hurt, and 1,200 were just missing in general. Thomas Jackson, that one guy. He may be a fat ass, but he single-handedly destroyed the Union in the first crucial fight of the war. In fact, he kicked their asses so hard people started calling him Stonewall Jackson. If that wasn't bad already, they also lost a battle in Missouri, and now people were blaming the government for being incompetent. Because the Union was doing really poorly, some blacks wanted to enroll in the military, but just because the North didn't support slavery didn't mean they weren't racist, and instead of giving them a spot in the army, they gave them a job of cleaning up the railroads so trains could pass by. Anyways, there was one general fighting in Tennessee and the state KFC was invented. Hang on, what was it called? Kentucky, right. And his name was Ulysses S. Grant. A Union commander who lives in his mother's attic and spends every second of his free time at the bar. Although he was a drunkard, but that didn't mean he wasn't capable, he managed to push his way all the way through Tennessee. But his conquest came to a screeching halt when he reached the town of Shiloh, when a Confederate force pounced out of nowhere and ambushed them all of a sudden. Both sides fought like demons at Shiloh, and the battle was officially called the Battle of Shiloh. Sorry, I forgot my reading glasses. The commander of the Confederates was shot in the fucking knee on the first day and died, being replaced by someone else. At the end of day one, Grant's army was pinned at the edge of the Tennessee River, but they managed to make a defensive line, and luckily for them, reinforcements arrived overnight, uplifting Grant's forces. On day two, the Union launched an assault on the Confederates, and seeing as they were outnumbered, the Confederates didn't stand a chance. They fled to Mississippi, and Grant's army secured the battle zone. But when I say secure, I mean they got drunk and partied hard. No one seemed even the tiniest bit fazed that this battle resulted in one of the heaviest fatalities in U.S. history. Anyways, up in the east, Lincoln wanted to try the seize the Confederate capital trick again. But this time they would go a different route. Their plan was to sneak up behind the capital and pounce at it from behind, a strategy they learned from the British in the American Revolution. When they got to where they were, instead of completely fucking over the Confederates, they established a siege and stayed there for a month. It was called the Siege of Yorktown.
Did someone mention the Siege of Yorktown?
All right, you won the war. Quit bragging.
Like you can talk, George.
Hey, shut up, George.
No, you shut up, George.
No, you shut up, George.
Both of you shut up. Anyways, once the Union got within 20 miles of Richmond, a Confederate general named Robert E. Lee came to the scene and annihilated them. If that wasn't bad enough, Lee had also whooped another Union army's ass at the Second Battle of Bull Run. And believe it or not, the Union Army had 20,000 more troops than Lee had, and they still didn't win. Man, Lincoln's got to hire more competent soldiers.
Doing the best I can!
By the way, did you know that Robert E. Lee hid his secret plan in a cigar? Well, it accidentally fell out of his pocket and got swept by the wind into Northern Territory. Luckily, it was discovered by some troops, and it turned out Lee was actually trying to invade the Union. It appeared that they now were trying to seize the Union capital. So now they were copying the Union's tactic. The Union met the Confederates at the north-south border, and they fought gruesomely in the Battle of Antietam. But when I say gruesome, I mean gruesome. They fought like literal demons, ripping people's guts out, blowing people's heads off, good old-fashioned fun. In the end, the Confederates retreated and the North won. The Union partied all night and didn't seem the least bit concerned that this battle was the deadliest disaster in the history of the U.S. The 9/11 hijackers are probably cursing in hell because they couldn't top that. After the Union won the battle, Abe Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation on January 1st, 1863. What did it do? It finally allowed blacks to join the military, along with freeing every slave in the Confederacy. You're probably thinking that there's no way the South agreed to this, and you'd be right. But when the South complained, the North just replied.
Suck my balls!
Anyways, the war raged on elsewhere, as General Grant was splitting the Confederacy in half through the Mississippi River. He reached the Confederate fortress of Vicksburg and prepared to launch an attack on it. Vicksburg was the last city standing before the Confederacy was cut in half, so if Vicksburg gave in, the Confederacy would be officially lopped in two. Meanwhile, eastward, Lincoln was plotting to take the Confederate capital for what, the 20th time? Anyways, on the way there, the Union bumped into the Confederates in the city of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Both armies camped on each side of the Rappahannock River, and on December 11th, the Union completely fucked over the Confederates, which they should have also done the last time they tried to take Richmond instead of raising a siege at Yorktown.
Did someone mention the
But when I say fuck over, I mean got fucked over. Sure, the Union might have charged first, but as they were marching in, the Confederates hid behind a wall and gunned down the lot of Union men. The Union retreated back to Washington, and team spirit was at an all-time low. It seemed as if the Union had no choice but to give up, and the Confederates already had their party pants on. But unbeknownst to them, the North was about to make a comeback very, very soon.